Hello everybody, I'm Brandon, and right now I'll be showing you how you can tackle problem number 5 from chapter 18, Physics B AP. Problem number 5 reads, A. Find the equivalent resistance between points A and B in figure P18.5, that's this one right here. B. Calculate the current in each resistor if a potential difference of 34 volts is applied between points A and B. So right now I have redrawn the figure that they gave us in the book. We have point A that leads to a 4 ohm resistor, and then a parallel between a 7 ohm resistor and a 10 ohm resistor, and then that goes back to a 9 ohm resistor, and then to part B. Again, the first question asks, what is the equivalent resistance? So how we do that is, first we have to find the resistance between the parallel, and then we make that one resistor, and then we can add the 4 ohm resistor and the 9 ohm resistor to that one resistor. Adding resistors in parallel is a little messed up, but don't worry, we will get through this together. So, 1 over R total equals 1 over R1 plus 1 over R2. And then 1 over R total equals 1 over, our first resistor is 7 ohms, plus 1 over, our second resistor is 10 ohms. So 1 over 7 ohms plus 1 over 10 ohms equals 0.2428, and so on. Are we done? No, because 1 over R total equals that. So we have to set this number to the power of -1. Solving for that right there will get you 4.117 ohms. So I've redrawn the circuit, and now it's a series circuit. You see, we were able to combine those two resistors and get a total resistance of 4.117 ohms, and we can make that into a series, 4.117 ohms. So now that is in a series with the 4 ohm and the 9 ohm resistor. Now all we have to do is add up those three. Your answer will then be 17.11 ohms. And that is the total resistance, or the equivalent resistance. And that is part A of this problem. For part B, as you can see, I have redrawn the circuit again. It's always a good idea to keep redrawing your circuits so that you know what you're looking at and you don't confuse yourself. So right now, we have one resistor that holds 17.11 ohms, and also between points A and B, we have a 34 volt battery, and we are trying to find the current that's going to go through each resistor. Well, let's take a look back at the original image here. We know that the 4 ohm resistor and the 9 ohm resistor are going to have the same current going through them. So let's turn back to our new picture, and let's remember V equals IR. Volts equals the current times the resistance. So we know volts, that's 34 volts, that is given to us. We are searching for the current, but we have the resistance, and that's 17.11 ohms. Doing this math, and the number of amps is 1.98 amps. That is only for the 4 ohm resistor and the 9 ohm resistor. Well, now that's part of part B, but we still have to solve for that parallel section right there. We've solved for the 4, we've solved for the 9, we still have to solve for that parallel section. To find the current that the 7 ohm resistor and the 10 ohm resistor are going to receive, first we need to find the volts, the number of volts that are going to go through both of those resistors. And then from there, we can divide that by their resistances, and we can get the amount of current. So let's write down our equation. V equals I R. And in this case, we are solving for the voltage. So V equals, we found most recently is 1.98 amps. Now, for that resistance, we actually want the resistance of the resistors in parallel. Well, we found that earlier. That is the unfocused 4.11 ohms. So, bring the camera right back here. 4.11 ohms. Solving for that gives us 8.18 volts. Now that we have 8.18 volts, we can solve for the current on each of the resistors. So, again, V equals IR. 8.18 volts equals I, that's what we're trying to find, times resistance. Now in this case, we're going to use the 7 ohm resistor. And then we'll do this again. 8.18 volts equals I times the 10 ohm resistor. So now we're treating these like individual resistors and not in parallel. So the number of amps, or the current on this one, is 1.17 amps. And the current on this one is 0.82 amps. Just to recap our answers, we have the 4 ohm resistor is going to have a current of 1.98 amps. The 9 ohm resistor is going to also have a current of 1.98 amps. The 7 ohm resistor is going to have a current of 1.17 amps. And the 10 ohm resistor is going to have a current of 0.82 amps. And that's your answer. So thank you for watching, hope this helped, and good luck.